Hello and welcome back to the in-depth weather video. Today we are going to be covering Winter Storm Eartha, which has just been named by the Weather Channel. In this video we're going to be going over the overview, we're going to be going over the winter weather outlooks, we're going to be going over every single model that gives a pretty good forecast on this, and then we're going to go over my predictions and the probabilities that I believe are pretty accurate for this storm and the amounts of both snow and rain. So if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Now let's get right on into it with the overview. So a storm system is expected to race along the northeast coast Saturday. Rain, high winds, and snow are expected, particularly in New England. The nor'easter will exit pretty quickly by Sunday. So here is the pretty much an overview. Nor'easter developing along the U.S. East Coast will bring rain, wind, snow to the parts of the Northeast. Similar to Winter Storm Dane, this nor'easter is expected to develop from teaming up of energy from two jet streams. However, this weekend's storm, now known as Winter Storm Eartha by the Weather Channel, will track much further east, and that brings in the snow to parts of the more populated areas of the Northeast. So we're going to skip this because we're going to actually look at the National Weather Service, but this is a pretty good forecast here. This storm will bomb out. If you don't know what that means that it's going to get super strong. It's going to drop 24 millibars, which is a unit of barometric pressure, in less than 24 hours, which means that it's kind of like rapid intensification with hurricanes, but for nor'easters. And it could happen with some blizzards too. Just overall, just non-tropical low pressures dropping in pressure very, very quickly. And that leads to higher winds, higher amounts of rain and snow, especially if it's drawing in from the Atlantic Ocean. Now you can see this is winter storm impacts from the Winter Storm Severity Index. And you can see this could be a major winter storm in certain parts here that are most affected, especially by on the coastline here, like here in Massachusetts and Connecticut, as well as in Maine, where you get that partnering of snow and winds at the same time. That could cause some problems. Now we're gonna skip current radar. Here is the forecast by the Weather Channel for Saturday. Now you can see a lot of areas here in this purple. That's mixed, and I think that we're not going to see that big of a boundary layer with the mix, but we'll get into that later. And then you can see snow in the interior northeast there. Wind gust forecast. This is pretty important as well. We have DC could get up to 30 to 35, Baltimore 25 to 30, Philadelphia 30 to 35, New York could see up to 40 mile-an-hour winds, and Boston could see up to 30 to 35. But areas on the Cape could see higher than that. Forecast on Sunday is basically nothing. So that is about it. Here's the Weather Channel's forecast here, but they coincide pretty much with the European model, so we're going to look at that later. But yeah, that's all that they have for this article here. So let's move on here to the National Weather Service. So here is the National Weather Service page, and you can see winter storm warnings from Massachusetts through areas of Vermont, New Hampshire, and into Maine. This is the main area that will be affected by the storm, especially with the snowy part of it, and could see the highest snow totals. We've a few winter weather advisories in Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, and then some winter storm watches in Connecticut, Massachusetts, not Rhode Island. Maybe a little bit possibility there, pretty minimal though, and Maine. So let's move on here to the winter weather outlooks. So here we are on the winter weather outlooks here. So here are the probabilities of snow accumulating greater than 1 inch, greater than or equal to 1 inch. So now you can see still none of that, 95% or more here, and that is until you get to, this is about 7 a.m. on Sunday, but this is kind of a, so this is ending Sunday, 7 a.m. Yeah. Alright. So, we have this area in Maine probably has the highest percent chance of receiving any snow at all. You can see as we continue along here, this is ending Monday, that eventually starts to shift out of the country, the whole probability, and then we start looking forward to the next storm system, which seems to be pretty interesting too, but we're not going to talk about that today. Now, I do want to look at one thing, and that is the chance of getting 6 inches of snow. Now, this is going to be where we're going to be mainly focusing on Maine. Alright, so we move on here, we start to get into the 70 to 80 range, and then we start to get into the 80 to 90% range. So where those 95% chances were, we have like an 80% chance of getting 6 inches of snow. So you can see, if you get snow, you're gonna get a lot of snow. So, and that's about it, right? Just for giggles, we're going to look at 12 inches of snow. I think this is very unlikely, and you can see here that is 40% chance at the most in some higher elevations, but into Maine, that's a 50% chance. That's crazy. So, the National Weather Service is giving this, that's a 60% chance, a 60% chance in certain spots of getting a foot of snow or more from this system, and for early December, that is pretty impressive to possibly get a foot of snow, and a lot of models are suggesting this very high snow total in areas of Maine. So with that, let's go to those models. Here is the longest part of the video. We're going to be taking a look at models one by one. We're going to go over the HRRR, the NAM 3km model, the NAM 12km model, the GFS parallel, the Canadian model, and the European model. This is way in depth, and we're going to be analyzing each of these individually, and we're going to be comparing them at the end here to decide what's going to happen with this storm. So first off, let's start off with the HRRR, that is. So you can see with this storm system here, we get this initial band of rain moving through southern New England and the mid-Atlantic. Low pressure forms. It's moving through North Carolina. You start to see some more thunderstorm activity here. Then it moves off the coast. Now you start to see some of the strengthening really occur with this thing. You can see that strong line of thunderstorms there, this comma head shape or this 9 shape as well. You could kind of make it out there. That is kind of the key detail for a nor'easter. Then as it starts to move up north, we start to see this pressure gradient drop. So it's at 1,000 millibars when it starts to move off the coast. That happens at 8. We are at 989. This is 9 hours later. So we have this changeover to snow starting to happen. Then you can see the HRRR kind of takes more of a mix approach to the transition. Most of these models have more of just a rain snow, no mix in here at all. So then as we continue here, let's go to 8 on Sunday. That is definitely at least 24 millibars. 24 millibars, I believe, is somewhere around there. So this could bomb out. I think it's pretty likely at this point. This thing's going to get super strong in a very small amount of time. So yeah, that is it for the HRRR NAM 3km model. So we have that same initial band starts to strengthen off the coast. Now the NAM kind of takes a more inland time of change over here, but it also has some very strong and powerful snow bands moving through, especially some areas of Maine, getting those pinks in there. That's very heavy snow, and that is 10 to 14 on the scale there. So very, very, very heavy snow with this storm system, and that is what the NAM says. NAM 12km model. So kind of the same thing here, but we kind of have more of southern New England getting in on that snow before it starts to move toward the north. And both these models have it getting to that 970s mark very early. If you know from the HRRR, it was like right here, it was at the 970s. So these have it strengthening much quicker. And then we already have that next storm system. Next up, GFS. So the GFS kind of has that same path here, but it also has that more HRRR NAM 3 kilometer model type of snowfall inland, no coastal areas until it starts to wrap around here. Then we start to get those coastal areas in there. But yeah, that's about it for the GFS. GFS parallel model. We have that initial band of rainfall. It moves off the coast. This has it remaining kind of weak here, and having most of that snow concentrated in Maine. And this doesn't have it getting into the 970s at all. Minimum of 980 here on the parallel model. Now let's move on to the Canadian. So the Canadian shows that initial band of rainfall moving across, strengthening pretty quickly, and also taking a more inland route. You can see this is very close to Cape Cod, but it ends up kind of pulling off the coast, and Maine gets almost all of the impacts here from this storm system. Now let's move on to the European model. So with the European model, you can see that low pressure, it's moving off the coast here, it's strengthening pretty quickly. You get more of that mix, kind of like the HRRR, and a lot of mix. And this is where the Weather Channel gets their high mix look to their forecast. And eventually, look at that, 979 here, 978 too. Very, very powerful as this rolls up the coast. And powerful snow here, close to that line of changeover. And right in here you can see very powerful winds, very heavy snow. That is a recipe for disaster. So let's take a look at the snow totals from each of these models. So starting with the HRRR, we have most of the snowfall coming here in interior Maine and New Hampshire, but a pretty good swath of 6 to 12 inches here from Connecticut up into Canada. On the NAM 3 kilometer model, we could see here, that's total accumulated precipitation, total positive snow depth change, kind of the same thing here, but shifted a little bit to the east. NAM 12 kilometer model showing kind of the same thing as the NAM 3 kilometer model, but kind of having that lesser snow total, that 1 to 3 inch range, a little bit further south and west. The GFS model has been a little bit kind of weird with this storm system, but it has now kind of taken that NAM 12 kilometer route here compared to the NAM 3 kilometer route. So the GFS parallel model, this one was very, very different. This is only total snowfall, so we're going to take about half of this amount here. Some areas that could see 12 inches of snow, but all of that action, all of this pink area here, or up to like 3 to 5 inches, is in Maine, possibly even like 6 to 8. But basically just lighter snow totals in the rest of New England, kind of concentrating everything in Maine. The Canadian model also does not have the total positive snow depth change, so again we're going to take these snow totals and kind of tone them down a little bit. But this has it only in inland Maine. None of the major population centers getting that heavy, heavy snowfall. And this is where you can get your 6 to 12 inches right in here. So let's move on to the European model. And we're going to take a little bit of a different track because this is pivotal weather and not tropical tidbits. So we have here, you have that NAM 12 kilometer type of track here where you get, you know, your 1 to 3 further south and west, but you also have this longer area from Massachusetts and Connecticut through into Maine. That is the heaviest of your snowfall. So one last thing before we go, we're going to look at here. We're going to go to total accumulated precipitation. You can see the HRRR has the coastal areas. The furthest inland it goes is actually into interior Massachusetts and Connecticut with that 2 to 6 inches. But a widespread area including Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, and so far down here including Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, DC, Virginia and North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia getting that ½ inch to 2 inches. But we're mostly going to be focusing on this 2-inch slot here, as that is where we're going to be seeing the most precipitation, the most impact from the storm system. So the NAM 3-kilometer model kind of shows that same thing here, but the cutoff line is much closer to the shoreline. The NAM 12-kilometer model usually kind of mimics the 3-kilometer model, and it does so right now. The GFS is showing kind of that HRRR type of reading here, with that 2 inches going further inland in some spots in southern New England. The parallel model, I would not be surprised if this is about the same as the GFS. It is very different, almost all off the coast, except for maybe a few spots in Connecticut, Massachusetts, but basically all that 2 inches plus is in Maine. The Canadian model kind of showing here that we're going to get that more GFS, or no, not the GFS, HRRR, no, NAM 3-kilometer model. There's too many models here. NAM 3, the NAM 3 type of reading here, that's the Canadian things. So finally we have the European model. Let me just get this up right now, and we can see here that it's taking that NAM 3-kilometer model path as well, keeping everything a little bit more on the coastline. So that is all I have for the models. Let's move on to my thoughts on this storm. So here are my predictions for this storm. On the left here we have the snow totals, and on the right here we have rainfall. So I think that in this blue area here, this light blue here, it stretches from Vermont into parts of northern New Hampshire, eastern Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, as well as the coastal areas of Maine. I also kind of just outlined it here, it looked better. There is a 1 to 3 inches possible in your future. I put that at a 40% certainty. Now, for areas of central Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and interior Maine, excluding the very interior Maine, I put 3 to 6 inches with a 60% certainty. So I'm pretty sure that this is going to be the area that gets 3 to 6 inches of snow. But now I'm definitely certain here, 80%. There's definitely still ways that this couldn't happen. If there's dry air or cold problems, getting that cold air into the system, that this area in interior or central interior Maine could get 6 to 15 inches of snow with that 80% certainty. Now, on the rain side of things, I think that from Mississippi to Maine here, following this kind of arc here, following that storm system, you can see kind of lines up with the track of the storm. In this green area, you have a ½ inch to 2 inches, and I am 40% certain that that will happen. Now, in this yellow here, in the central part of this green band, I think this will be the most rain or the most precipitation that comes out of this system, and that is 2 to 6 inches, and I give that a 60% certainty that that will happen. So that is all I have for Winter Storm Eartha. This has been a very long video, as this has been a very intriguing storm. Now, comment in the comment section down below. I want to hear what you think. What's going to happen with this storm? There are so many variables. There are so many different things that can happen, as you can see from the models today. Let me know. What do you think about this storm? That's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.